Okay, so here we are, and we're doing obviously COVID, and I just wanted to bring something up. I'll go over the cases in a minute, and this is the John Hopkins site I always go to. And if you, as I'm panning right here, you'll see that I had said in a previous video that on Christmas, for some reason, it just goes down, and that's the daily doses here. Anyway, well, obviously daily doses went down, then people weren't going out, but daily cases did go down Christmas, around about the Christmas time, and then it shoots up. So panning back over here, and I want to show you that we are looking at the cases here for America, and it's at 4 million. I don't know if you can see that. That's 28-day, by the way, total 4,960,000, say 5 million per day in the US. That is Omicron, Delta, and the original strain. But quite frankly, it is still circulating quite badly, especially as you can see here. And I'll just draw in here. Alaska, as you can see, is not as badly affected, obviously. There's a density of population is not there, but mostly from the Midwest onwards to the East Coast has been hit. California, sorry, I'm trying to get it situated there. So we're up to 54 million and 54,535 as of this second here, 12:30. I'm doing the video here in the afternoon, and basically you can see the density of the saturation of all the cases. And yeah, actually here it is, I'm sorry. So over 28 days we've had 4,962,000, and I hate to say with 39,574 deaths, which is extraordinarily sad and horrible, to be honest. So what we're seeing is, of course, in these situations where there are a large majority who haven't got vaccinated, and then there are the ones obviously, a minority who have had all the vaccines and the boosters, but because compromised situations in their health or situation, they're also dying or being exposed to it. It is still very dangerous. Omicron is not as dangerous, but quite frankly, if you've already got a compromised health system within yourself, you'll go down. So what I'm going to do is quickly go over what I'm seeing for the next few months, and I'll update by March. But this is just for the next few months, the first quarter. And all I see is it's going up because of Christmas, because of everybody traveling, people being, I wouldn't say, and I'm not talking about the ones who are trying to be careful, but the ones who don't really think that there is such a thing, which I can't believe, still after 2 years, they're still thinking that way. But anyway, they are exposing others to this. So all I can tell you is that it is going to go on, and there is another strain coming in July, end of May, actually, and I'm seeing it come from Europe, but quite frankly, it's in between Omicron and Delta. Very contagious, has the symptoms of flu, but also stomach issues. I'll expand on that in another video. I just want to let you know regarding on America, this, and I might actually just do the whole COVID for the whole world. But basically, sadly, that is going to be the case. It's going to get far more dense in the East Coast area here, around here, but it'll also move a bit more here. But when you think about it, this is not. Texas is going to get really hit, New Mexico, Arizona, Utah will get far more cases. Oregon, Washington, California, throughout to the border. Nevada, that's really mainly Las Vegas, actually, we'll see incredibly increased by, I think it's reaching its peak by really April, beginning of April, say March, end of March. You'll see a peak coming in with Omicron anyway, but it resurges by end of July. And it's going to be hard because I really think there's another one coming in. So another variant, obviously there are variants being co-created all the time, as I told you in previous videos, but this one is going to be a mix of the two. So it is hard to kind of play catch up. I know there are how many thousands of people who don't believe in the mask, but the mask, a K95 at least, if you can't get the N95, but a KN95 is the most protected mask you can have. So you can get it on Amazon or whatever, wherever your resources are. But I would just be concentrating and staying at home as much, going back into isolation. I know that a lot of people are not used to isolating, but quite frankly, there are good points to that. I will reiterate here in this part of the video that a lot of people who I know, not huge amount thankfully, but there are people who have died that I know, and they hadn't prepared their wills. They don't even have a trust, and if you have a house or real property, I am warning you, please get a trust immediately in place. It's going to be a nightmare for anybody who's on the heirs, unless you're leaving it to nobody or not doing a will, and it goes to the state, which I'm sure 99% of us don't want the state to just take it over and get their hands on it. So be a bit more conscious of that and decide what you want. It's in a way a good cleansing. You've got the isolation to do it and to put that in and start doing that. And that's a trust in America. I don't know what the equivalents are in other countries. But think about it and get everything in order. So you don't need to be worried about it, because when it hits, sadly, a cousin of mine died in less than 10 days. And there's others that have not even a 2-week span to get through all of this, all right? Now, Canada, obviously, look at the difference between Canada and America. Yes, there's, obviously a saturation, but they're all in the cities and stuff like that. But they're doing a marvelous job there. I do see it more being prominent more, I hate to say in Ontario, Toronto, but it won't be a widespread situation. Okay, now I'm going just panning over quickly let's go to Europe, and you can see the saturation there. Now, I have always worried about, and this is only a quick video, and I'll do a more in-depth later. Sorry, I'm trying to, hope I'm not even getting dizzy here. But here we are. France is, I'd say, well controlled, but Spain, Italy, I'm very worried about, because there's going to be a larger outbreak there in Italy. Also, obviously, in Germany, London, there are outbreaks, and it doesn't really. Let's see, United Kingdom, they've got 2 million, half of what we are having. But basically, it's still rampant in Europe, and as you can see in Brussels and Belgium, which I'm obviously worried about, Copenhagen, Stockholm, Sweden, Norway. Norway's obviously okay, but there is a minor outbreak with about 13 catching it, school children, I'm seeing, so be careful. Poland, all of these, it's really minor outbreaks that they're isolating. France, you have to be careful of, and I'm sorry, I'm zooming in and out because this is so sensitive. Can't believe that, sorry. And Russia, quite frankly, I am seeing a huge outbreak there. with Omicron, but they're not really reporting what they really have there. I don't even want to touch Russia. And the isolation in the places where, in the mountain areas in Turkmenistan and all the other Kazakhstan, all of those locales where it's more mountainous, you won't see as much. Sorry, I apologize. Okay, Africa. We'll go to that. And I did see, and I said it was Ebola, but quite frankly, it was here where it started. It was really the Omicron, and it did not start in South Africa. It started, actually, there was a case here, and then it moved to South Africa and grew because of the population. So I'm seeing all of this region here in Africa really going down, and Egypt getting a huge outburst too. Ethiopia, but they're going to Saudi Arabia, they'll keep it Cairo, they'll keep it down Dubai, but it's not as bad. India, I'm afraid by end of June, it'll start growing mostly in the southern region, Mumbai as well, in Pakistan, Myanmar, New Delhi, and in Sri Lanka, it'll start hitting round about end of May. So be careful. South Africa, it just keeps on growing. It's as if it bounces like a ping pong ball. It goes back and forth, back and forth. Singapore, I'm afraid, yes, and Jakarta will have an outburst. But Kuala Lumpur and Singapore, it will start. Indonesia, they're isolated because they're, widespread there. In the Philippines, that goes for that too. Thailand, I hate to say it, again, Bangkok will have, and Vietnam, all of those areas, Hong Kong, Taipei, will have those isolated incidents, but it's mostly, obviously, in those areas. China, they're not reporting all the cases, I hate to say it. They're keeping it cards close to the hand. They don't want it known what their real figures are, but they are seeing huge in this Hong Kong, Wuhan, really around this area, okay? Japan, Tokyo gets hit, Seoul, all of these, not so much in the islands here, but it's really in the denser areas, and again, end of May, June. This one is, and that's obviously, I'm trying to get hold of this, Saipan. So Saipan obviously is pretty devastated. It's such a small area. Okay, we covered Papua New Guinea. Really controlled, but they are going to have a bit of an outbreak round about end of February through April, okay? Australia, pretty well controlled except for the larger cities. Sorry, geez. Madagascar, yeah, they'll get it too, but let's go to Australia and New Zealand. Basically, I'm afraid that is going to get hit, and I'm just going to expand Perth, Melbourne, Sydney, Brisbane, all of those, Adelaide, Tasmania, not as bad, but definitely in the cities. But those, it's really Canberra, Melbourne, and Sydney. Brisbane, not too much of that, and a slight surge in Perth. But this is again at the end of March through July. But it's the government trying to do, well, at least it's the people really who are being very vigilant about not getting, allowing it in and spreading it. So thank you for being a shining example, as in with New Zealand, who's been an excellent source of how to control it. They're going to see a small surge, and that's in, not even in Wellington actually, it's going to be in Christchurch. Is it Christchurch? I'm just trying to scan here. So it's really in one of the main areas there. But it's again one person bringing it in, and it's just getting in. So it's really around here that you'll see but it's not that many cases at all to speak of. Hawaii is going to get hit, I'm afraid, and that's at the end. It's already being hit at the moment. But also it's kind of a descent in March, but it comes back up by end of April, May. So please be careful in Hawaii. There's such good people there. I'm afraid all these South American countries, sorry, here we go again, I'm trying to scroll. We're looking at, obviously, the Caribbean here. Mexico is going to get hit. It really hasn't seen its main surge, put it that way, until about June. It's going to devastate Mexico, so be careful when traveling there. And that means it really kind of overflows into Texas, so be careful, and San Diego. Those are the entry points. And of course, not that they can even stand it, but I'm seeing a huge load of cases in Port-au-Prince as well. So Venezuela, it's not as bad, but they're isolated incidents in small villages. Colombia, I hate to say it, they get hit round about here. It's mostly coastal. Peru, not so much on the mountains, but in the coastal areas. I'm seeing Bolivia, Brazil in the main areas, and that's because of the population for the poor things, the people who can't even afford to get or seek health. And so it just spreads like wildfire. So there's a lot of deaths there, I'm afraid. Chile, and I'll talk about earthquakes another time on that one, Argentina. So that's really a huge. Iceland, hardly anything. Let's see. Just quickly scanning. Really, basically, that's it for COVID at the moment. But please, just, I know Tasmania and everything, they're all seeing that kind of surge where I associated with that portion of the continent that I talked about, okay? So I'm sorry if I gave you a headache pouncing in and out. It's very sensitive today, the pad. Okay, so please, again, lots of water, that does help. Keep indoors. Yeah, I know this is just keeping going on, but it's those also the people who refuse to see the reality because they're arrogance and it's a right. They feel it's their right to be getting out there. I know I'm not very popular with those anti-establishment people, but quite frankly, you're not thinking about anybody else, certainly not your own family, who can easily catch it. And those are the vulnerable people in your family. So be aware, okay? Blessings and good luck to all of you.